With all sorts of signs and clearly all sorts of people, it's one way to kick off America's greatest homecoming. All signs are pointing to homecoming right now, where we got all sorts of Greek organizations, Campus Life, Res Life, all creating signs for the annual Homecoming Celebration Sign Contest. Those Hoko decks start to look a lot like my to-do list, and it's time to take out the trash. When coming to Edmond Library, you can do a lot more than just check out a good book. But when students need that specific page turner, it's actually up to the work of their peers to make sure everything checks out smoothly. 'Twas the night before Hoko, and all through the streets, the Greeks are getting ready to celebrate peace. Living that far away from home may seem like it could cause quite a racket, but the Cowgirl tennis staff and team has done its best to make Stillwater as welcoming of a place as possible. But the sale also impacted those that weren't picking out their 50th shirt. They were picking out their first. Jackie helps keep the place moving, but it's the people that volunteer for little guys like this that help keep this shelter the way it is. Cherokee Nation's first female principal chief is being honored in a unique yet conflicting way. Wilma Mankiller is the newest member in Mattel's Inspiring Woman of Barbie Dolls. Mankiller served as the principal chief of Cherokee Nation for a decade in the mid-80s and 90s. She was a beloved humanitarian, even receiving the highest civilian honor, the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Despite all of this, she was a humble woman. Her daughter recalls her saying, quote, "I'm not Princess Diana, nor am I a Barbie." Well, now she is. A ceremony honoring the late Wilma Mankiller is scheduled for Tuesday in Tahlequah. It's best to keep your pets on a leash, but in this neighborhood, it may just be best to keep them inside. The 13-foot python that has been terrorizing one OKC trailer park is still on the loose. Residents have noticed a significant amount of cats disappearing from the community, putting the blame on the snake. When asked for responses, media has been declined and kicked off the property, not letting any outside residents see the creature in the area. And they are encouraging residents to do the exact same, saying, quote, "If you are contacted by the media, you are encouraged to ask them to leave the community immediately and give them no comments." As of right now, the snake is still on the loose. If you have food on your table, think a farmer. Today is National Farmers Day. It's the end of harvest season, and farmers are working hard each day to feed their families and ours. National Farmers Day used to be known as Old Farmers Day, going back to the 1800s. If you're looking for something to get you in the holiday spirit, look no further than a short drive to Enid, Oklahoma. For the third year in a row, the Christ tree is back in Enid. The lighting of the tree will take place on Sunday at 5:30 p.m. The event will have ice skating, light shows, and all sorts of performances. The Christ tree stands at an astonishing 102 feet tall, making it one of the tallest trees in the world. If you're 21 on the 28th, then you're all set to celebrate the festivities. Today is National Drink Beer Day. From Bud to Yingling and anything in between, Washington Street in Stillwater, also known as the Strip, is sure to be buzzing. But me personally, I'll probably settle the night with a bit of root beer. There's a lot of different clubs on OSU's campus, but for those looking for a blast to the past, look no further than the Medieval Studies Association, where you can find a suit of armor that suits you. These are the sounds of Monday nights in the Medieval Studies Association. Assembling together in a garage, these brave soldiers work with one another to forge suits of armor that harken to a time long past. Carl Chipman, aka John Paul, the owner of the garage, has been involved with MSA for nearly all of his adult life, and now he's giving back his time towards college members involved at Oklahoma State.
I have done a lot of leadership stuff in the area, but the nice part about SCA is that a lot of people step up and they lead in different areas, and it does allow you to sometimes you get to be a leader and you get to motivate people, and sometimes you just get to be an enthusiastic follower and go do something cool with someone else.
The necessary tools and materials are available for those looking to suit up, but armor is not the only thing being forged on Monday nights. The Medieval Studies Association is as supportive as the armor they wield. They rally around appreciating old and European history, but also one another.
I really enjoy it. I also really enjoy having that stuff to look at. A project on the side is fantastic because it keeps me from sitting around twiddling my thumbs in my room.
Yeah.
And, well, to be completely honest, it is wonderful stress relief being able to take a hammer to a sheet of metal. If I get pent up after a test, if I didn't do my best, it is really satisfying.
One man's scraps is another man's suit of armor. Payton Little, Ocala TV. Tissue paper and chicken wire. Two things that seemingly have nothing in common, but for the Greek community at Oklahoma State, they're all too familiar with it. It's called pomping. Giant decks of tissue paper art oozing with school spirit are designed to draw in Cowboy alumni far and wide during the OSU Homecoming's infamous walk-around.
You start hanging those screens at noon on a Wednesday afternoon, you're just happy to be there, right? But by the time that everything had been put up and we had everything moving and everything was looking good, I was already just so proud.
With just how much time and work is put into making the homecoming walk-around look its best, who wouldn't want to celebrate the school spirit being brought by this once-a-year art display?
400 people total, times 8 a week. Yeah, 3,200 hours a week. I don't know, it's 32,000. 3,200 hours a week, roughly. And then there's people who go over the limit and just succeed and just want to be in there helping as much as they can.
And it's this effort and art that gives OSU the title of America's Greatest Homecoming. But now that homecoming has come to a close, what happens to the giant paper displays lining University Avenue? Tissue paper doesn't last forever, and all good things must come to an end. And eventually, those HOCO decks start to look a lot like my to-do list, and it's time to take out the trash. From Friday nights under the lights to Monday morning dumpsters, the 3-month build-up to homecoming ultimately leads to piles upon piles of papers and wires left to be dumped the next morning, leaving some Greeks to feel like they've been a different kind of dumped.
It's like a heartbreak, you know? It's like you're walking away from a really good relationship. That's how I felt when I'm at the end of walk around, when we're finally done, everyone's seen all the decks, and then the game starts the next day. The decks are kind of forgotten about, so it's kind of sad.
To make matters worse, it was a gloomy week in Stillwater, and everyone knows what happens when paper and water meet.
Especially on a wet year like this, the pump gets moldy. It does, especially when it's landing against all those rusted pipes. It starts to smell. The glue smells really bad, so it's really hard to keep around, but when we can, we do.
But despite the work being torn down seemingly overnight, it's more about what the tissue paper represents to those involved, rather than the bright orange designs themselves.
Being a part of the team this year was just another level of just proudness and sense of like tradition that I've never been able to experience before the past 2 years that I've been here.
The decks may be down in the dumps, but the spirit of Greek life and OSU pride remains as intact as ever. Reporting from Greek Row, Payton Little, Pete's Corner. Between canines and kittens, the Humane Society of Stillwater has had their hands full making sure these cuddly creatures can find their forever homes. Leading the charge is Jackie Ross Guerrero, 15-year director of the Humane Society of Stillwater. Ross Guerrero is helping to relocate potential pets and save lives. Lives like little Tofu. Tofu the kitten was hit by a car and set for euthanasia due to a broken pelvis. But Ross Guerrero had other plans for the little feline. Tofu was rehabilitated and is now on the path for adoption, and he's not afraid to let people know it. And he's also not the first to be saved by the Humane Society and Ross Guerrero.
That's why they're getting out of bed. And animals, I mean, they're a biggest stress reliever and a biggest reason why some people get up. So just going to help any way we can.
Now, Jackie helps keep the place moving, but it's the people that volunteer for little guys like this that help keep this shelter the way it is. Abby Chambers has been at the Humane Society for under a month, yet the impact she has felt from these four-legged friends, and in some cases 3, has left a mark already.
There's a dog, his name is Malcolm, he doesn't have a leg, and he is just the rowdiest little dog ever, and it's literally so adorable. I don't know, I like working with the animals that are not as fortunate, because you get to empathize with them a little bit, and I don't know, they're just adorable, so.
And that is exactly why people choose to volunteer for the Humane Society, to be paid with paws. The impactful women such as Jackie Ross Guerrero and her volunteers help keep the future pets fed, loved, and entertained.
I could not do what I do without the volunteers, because when I'm open, those dogs need attention, the cats need attention, and I'm one person. So they are socializing the animals, and not only that, but they're getting them ready for their new homes.
Saving lives, creating new homes, and serving Stillwater. For Pete's Corner, Payton Little. Welcome to Market Mania! It's the place where you turn Facebook trash into kind of cash. You two will both be competing to guess certain prices on Facebook Market items. We're going to show you guys how this game works and get a little bit of this taste of Market Mania. So can we cue up our first product, please? So the first category is Star Wars for Dr. Andrew Abernathy over here. I know he's a big Star Wars guy. If you've had his class, you would know that's the case every morning. The market multiplier, yes. Alrighty. So this is
go.
the double point round, which y'all have already been doing. So we'll see if it's worth 4 points here. Can we see what it is, please? Now y'all have a kind of a nickname on campus now as the Butter Girl, so why not get the Butter Girl corn on the cob butter?
Girl in.
Got it right, didn't she?
Someone got it exactly on the money. And someone knows their cardboard cutouts really well. Show the prize, please. Charlotte Sands is your winner of Market Mania Episode 9. Now they're kind of going back to their roots, but they're still bringing that modern flair with the helmets. I think we're going to get the best of both worlds. Like, I legit think these are going to be the best that OSU has looked. As far as the uniform-wise.
Yeah,
As far as
yeah.
the team goes, I have no idea.